I think most entrepreneurs would say that they work really hard to create their marketing materials, writing good blog posts, and trying so hard to get the visibility they deserve. But oftentimes, we're not really getting enough exposure and enough traction with the things we're working so hard on to showcase our business. And today, I've got a guest here who's going to show us how she's been able to help people get massive exposure, and in some cases, with the click of a button, be able to exponentially grow the traffic and the visibility on their blog posts. Hi, it's Melanie Benson here. I'm America's leading small business optimizer, and this is a weekly series that I've designed where I interview amazing, really powerful, and optimized entrepreneurs from all over the world to share with you some things they've learned on their journey and to help you figure out what do you need to optimize so you can get more impact, more revenues, and more time for what you love the most. And my guest today is somebody who, gosh, I feel like I've known her forever, and we've recently reconnected as she's just become this huge force to be reckoned with in the world of social media, Laura Rubinstein. Now, Laura is an award-winning social media and marketing strategist, best-selling author of Social Media Myths Busted, which is a must-read, and co-founder of Social Buzz Club, who has optimized marketing plans for over 1,000 small businesses. And wouldn't we all love to have someone who's a real expert put their eyes on our marketing plans and help us get better results. So, hey, Laura, thanks so much for being here today.
Hey, Melanie, I'm glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Sure. Well, after a while, there's just certain people that keep showing up in my space, and I watch what they're up to, and I love Social Buzz Club. It's one of my favorite resources. And I'm like, okay, we got to come talk about how optimizing your social media and your marketing strategies can give you a big boost of what we all want, which is revenues and results. So glad you're here to talk about it.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
So let's get started with just a little bit of why did you decide to get into this space of social media and really, focusing on how people can get more optimized in their marketing strategies?
Well, as a small business owner, I'm an entrepreneur by nature, and I've been working with other small business owners for over 22 years. And as a marketing consultant back in the day, my whole philosophy was always relationship-based marketing strategies. So if you're providing a service or you're providing some product, but it's person to person, you really have to build those relationships. And when social media came on the scene, for business around 2008, that was the year also the market crashed. So I was at the time coaching financial advisors, and they all went to deal with their issues with the market, and I got super interested in social media. I was like, wow, this is everything I've ever believed in for marketing on steroids. It's like the world's largest networking meeting, and I love networking is one of the biggest relationship building marketing strategies you can use. So I jumped in, I made all the mistakes, and I realized after a while building my community, I was talking to a colleague of mine, and we were having a conversation. I said, just love to have a way where influencers like ourselves, where people who have started building our influence and our communities and our tribes online, could leverage each other's networks, especially for our clients. Even like we have small business clients, wouldn't it be great if we had a place where people could come and amplify each other's influence? And the Social Buzz Club was born out of that conversation, and we're like, yeah, like a buzz marketing group or a Social Buzz Club, So that's what we want to do, is work with other people who have a passion and a mission and help them grow their influence.
That's great. And that's exactly what it does. And not only that, but I feel like there's an exposure to people that you might not even normally connect with if you're going to like a physical networking meeting, because you're giving people access to each other all over the world, right? Like you've got members all over the world. So it's like there's this exponential ripple effect you can have by connecting in with each other's networks. And it's really cool to see who starts really building those synergies, and all of a sudden you've got someone new who's buzzing your stuff because they're connecting with what you talk about, and it's a nice compliment.
It's a huge compliment, and it positions you as a thought leader now, someone
Yes.
to be known. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, and I actually recommend my newer clients, not my newer clients, but my clients who are newer in business get involved because, it's, as you know, it can take a lot of hard work to get exposure to new audiences, and, you're just running the grindstone trying to catch up and get more traction. I was like, well, why don't you, like you talked about, leverage some networking buzz groups that are already in place, that's what they're there for.
And I love that you're recommending it to your clients, because my guess is if you're like me, you have clients you adore and you think have like the greatest either service or information, education, passion to help people make a difference in the world, and they have incredible content that they are either capable of creating or have created. And when I work with a client, this is why I went to build this community and this platform, is because I just wanted to see their work expressed more in the world, and like have a megaphone out for them. And that's really what Social Buzz Club does.
Yeah, it's great. And I guess this is a good point to lead into this next question, which is the problems and challenges that are kind of embedded in social media and embedded in trying to get your message out in a bigger way. And maybe talk to us a little bit about some of the things that you see people are struggling with, that maybe you can give them some ways they can use Social Buzz Club, or some of the other ways that you help people, because I know you also build plans for them.
Right. Well, one of the biggest problems is that social media in general is a noisy place. How do you stand out?
Yeah. Like
And
a lot of like stuff coming at you all the time. And
yeah, and I just tell people, don't worry about all the noise. And the way you can stand out, well, first of all, you have to have that plan, obviously, is and understand your market, and then provide the content and the engagement on social media that that brings you the targeted traffic. So the idea is not to get a million people to see, although that's great and that can happen, but it's a good number, a rich niche, a segment of your people, your tribe. And Seth Godin talks about 1,000 people is a good number to generate. So you don't need millions, and 1,000 may sound like a lot to people, but as you speak and share your wisdom, your knowledge, your information, your humor, whatever it is that you're passionate about and authentically expresses you, then you can overcome that noise. You can to get to the people who want your message, who want to rally around you, who you want to rally. It goes two ways, of course. So that noise problem, we live in a noisy world. It's not, it's people, if you look at it as a problem, then it's a roadblock. But if you look at it as, this is the world we live in now, what do I want? Well, I want my tribe to know me. Then start engaging. And Social Buzz Club does allow you to do that, because you can blast out your own content, and that's great, and people who already follow you may or may not see it, depending on what network you're on and what time you're on and how you're doing it and if it's interesting to them. But if you have a tribe of people who are committed to helping each other grow their influence, and somebody like me or you or somebody else in the network shares their content, now they're getting an endorsement and visibility.
Yeah. And I'm going to say there's certain people like yourself, because you actually have several networks that you tweet from. I'm always like so flattered when you pick up and run with something that I'm sharing. I'm like, oh, cool, that resonated with her. And I think that's kind of what happens is, after a while, like you said, there's certain people that you really develop an affinity for, and you kind of track what they're doing. And you actually have a built-in tool inside Social Buzz Club to do that. So you can kind of create the people you want to watch, and they'll go to the surface for you, and then there's people that you just might run across because you're seeing them in the stream.
Yeah, and when you put out good content like yourself, I am happy to buzz it out. I love buzzing the great content we get. Thank you for it. It's it's adding value to people, and it quite frankly, when I share somebody else's content, it makes me actually look like a hero to my network, because I'm sharing a wealth of resources for them. They don't have to go anywhere else. They can count on me to give great content. Not that they won't go anywhere else, but they count on receiving quality content over and over again.
I love that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So you actually used a word that I want to dig into a little bit more, a four-letter word to many entrepreneurs, which is plan. Yeah. A lot of entrepreneurs who we probably both know like to avoid plans. What's the value of having a plan? And maybe even give us a little insight into what do we need to have in this marketing plan that would really help us optimize our energy, our marketing budget, the time we're spending with it. Because really, like if we're wasting time on stuff that's not paying off, what's the value, right?
Well, the plan is to solve some problems. First of all, a lot of people have this idea that social media is overwhelming and takes a lot of time. Well, if you plan it out, like I always recommend creating a 15-minute a day plan, or a set of tasks, which is part of your overall plan, then it's not going to take a lot of time. It doesn't have to be overwhelming. You can delegate it if you want, depending on what your goals are and or some of it. And in that plan, I recommend actually 3 kinds of plans. I know this sounds like I'm giving you more than less, but when you throw out the word marketing plan, it's just, what's that?
Right.
That could include everything. Well, let's talk about social media and break it into 3 groups. A content plan, a tribe building plan, and an engagement plan.
I love that. Okay.
Okay, and if you took 5 minutes, well, the content plan is going to take development time, but then you could delegate even the creation of the content and the distribution of the content. In fact, we have at Social Buzz Club a VA who you can hire to take your blog posts and put them on Social Buzz Club, and also share blog posts that you would want shared to your communities. And we have a plan as low as $17 a month.
I had no idea, by the way, that was there. That's so cool.
Do have that.
I love that.
Yeah, and the highest plan I think is like $50 a month. So it doesn't cost a lot to have a VA. And yes, she's American. Not that that's,
Right.
but she will listen. She will do a session with you and find out what kind of content you want to share and what kind of content you don't want to share or have shared, and the timing of that, and where you want it shared and where you don't want it shared, and earn your points, and then take your blog posts and put them in and time them out so they get shared out. So yeah, so it doesn't have to cost a lot of time. That content part of the plan can be totally delegated. The engagement part of the plan, if it's 5 to 10 minutes, and is probably the part you want to do as a person running your own accounts. And then the tribe building, could be both. You could delegate some of that, and that's like replying to emails, sending out maybe messages, and also following people, circling people, connecting with people, friending people, that kind of thing. Also doing your paid advertising on Facebook, because if you want to grow a page, you got to pay to play these days. Yes. So there, 2/3 of this can be delegated.
I love that. Well, that's one of my favorite words is delegation. Right?
I know. You are the queen.
Leverage. So let me share a couple favorite parts for me about Social Buzz Club. One of which is I love that you can create a specific time that your buzz will get noticed. You can say, I want my buzz, my blog post to be seen at this point. And I love that you can schedule when other people that you're buzzing, when it lands in your social media timeline. And I also really like that you guys are using Google+. A lot of these types of tools, they're not on board yet with Google+. So great that you guys have incorporated that. And I guess that brings up a question for me, because you guys are bringing this through a lot of platforms. Do you have a favorite social media platform these days that you think is really worth putting some extra time and energy into to get some visibility?
I am spending more time on Google+. I have fallen in love with it. I really think that Google has finally come up with a really, not only the platform, I have fallen in love with that Google Hangouts on Air personally, because I think that's a business tool, it's a visibility tool, and it's a connecting tool. It's a relationship building. Now I can see you, just like, we're doing here today. So I really, and it's Google. So it's visibility on steroids because everybody uses Google to search, and guess what? Your Google Plus posts with links and things like that, they're indexed. They'll come up in search.
Right.
You know, just use your keywords. So I've really, and then, you know, if you're just a newbie to social media, get a LinkedIn profile. Again, for search purposes, because if your website's not ranking, even if you type in your name, for some reason it's not coming up, your LinkedIn profile will, and make sure your LinkedIn profile links back to your website. So for findability purposes and positioning purposes, it's really a no-brainer.
Great tips. I didn't even know about that with LinkedIn. I've had LinkedIn profile forever, but like I had no idea that it would be that valuable.
It is. It's great.
Cool. So let's pull the curtains back and talk a little bit about Laura, because obviously you've created some extraordinary tools here, the resources, you've had a huge success in bringing people together to help them buzz and build social relationships. But like, what's your journey been like to get to this point? Would you say that, you know, there was one thing that was like a technique or strategy that really helped you get to where you are now?
You know what always helps me over and over and over again is clear intention.
Okay. Say more about what that means to you.
The power of intention. You know what the phrase, be careful what you ask for?
Yeah, I've lived that one a few times.
Yeah. So really getting, you know, and being unattached to that, you know, like getting clear and saying, I don't know how this is going to happen, but this is what I'm wanting. This is what I feel like. There's got to be a way, and I've done that phrase, that I can blank. So, you know, I have a background also, I don't know if you know, as a hypnotherapist. So
that's how we originally connected, I think, was when
I
you were
think
in
so.
that space. Okay. Yeah.
Like over 15, maybe 15 years ago or something. So I use the words that we say and think are very powerful. And words like, I wonder how, or there's got to be a way to, are, you know, gas pedal words. They open up the possibilities for something to come into your, you know, thinking, your line of sight, so you can say yes to it, as opposed to, why can't I, or I don't know, you know, how to. So just having that, you know, the intention is, there's got to be a way to have a business that I love and helps people, and keep getting more and more and more clear on that is like the power of intention. Because the more clear you are, the answers are already here.
That's so
we just
true.
have to open up to them.
Right.
And it's so frustrating when we can't, but the path to them is, in my opinion, intention.
And I like that you brought forward how we use language in our mind to get there, because I truly see sometimes, for myself, because I'm not immune to this, but with other people that I coach and mentor, how the way they're structuring that thought in their head, they're actually in themselves such poor questions that are blocking them. I'm really glad that you brought that forward, because I think it's helpful to hear that over and over and over again. Be aware of how you're structuring your question or the way you're trying to solve the problem. And there's several mentors. I know John Ashraf says this, and I think there's several people who talk about, like, the better the way you ask the question is, the faster you solve the problem.
So keep asking questions. And the ones, you know, like, there's got to be a way. I wonder how I can. Those are the curiosity learner questions versus the judger questions.
I like one that has worked well for me over the years is, what would have to happen for me to? So I'm like, well, what would I have to be willing to do, or what would have to shift? Like, what would I have to be intentional about doing different? And instead of saying like, oh, I can't have this, I don't know how to do it, it's like, well, what would have to happen? It's kind of another version of what if.
Yeah, I love it.
So, Laura, have you faced a pretty big challenge in this journey that you had to, you know, stare down and get through to get where you are today?
Well, I think I got set on this whole journey by a layoff in corporate. Actually, I got kicked out of one job and then laid off from the second. And it was at that point where I realized corporate America and I didn't really get along, and as me being internal to them. And I really had to take stock of what was going on in my life. You know, at that time I was powering through life. I used to be a power suit, power lunch kind of professional, you know? And it all came crashing down on me to the point where I was forced into that soul-searching journey to discover what would bring fulfillment to my life and to my career. And I took it as an opportunity. I really explored, and that's when I sought out hypnosis and hypnotherapy. And I always knew that would be a tool, and I have a very small practice still to this day with hypnosis, but I seem to just collect businesses. I don't let go of any. That could be a
we have to talk
challenge
about that, Laura.
Yeah.
I'm kidding. But yes, I don't think you're alone in that challenge either.
Yeah.
Yeah. So interesting. So did you ever feel like you really fit in the corporate mentality, or was it like you fit at the time and then you were realizing the time had expired?
I thought I fit.
Okay.
I'm not, and then I thought I fit, and I really wanted to make it fit.
Yeah.
Make me fit. And I was going to, gosh darn it, figure it out. And, but then I started feeling like a corporate slave. Mm-hmm. I'm like, I need more, a sense of freedom. I'm, any entrepreneur will tell you if they're successful, they're a hard worker. I am a hard worker, in corporate or out of corporate. It wasn't a matter of hard work. It was a matter of freedom for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I don't know if you know this, but I came out of corporate as well, and I never felt like I fit. So
no.
For me, it was like, okay, I don't know how to fit in this model. I need to find something that feels more like me.
I probably never fit in, but I wanted to.
Yeah, I wanted to too. Like I really tried, and then I realized, like, okay. Well, what happened to me is I enrolled in coaching school, and then all of a sudden the whole world of like values and the alignment with your genius started to surface for me, and I'm like, I don't think I actually really fit here. So it was a real liberator for me. I like to ask my guests about optimization, and as you run a business, as a business owner, there are so many things that we have to do. There's so much that we have to learn. There's so many hats to wear. Yeah. And I think, as you were talking about with social media and marketing, the optimization there, but I think oftentimes we have to look at how do we optimize us and the way we run our business or certain strategies we're using to grow. Did you find something in your own journey that you optimized in the running of your business that was helpful?
A couple of things, along the way, and always refining that process, and because we're dynamic beings, and our needs change, our customers change, our markets change, our preferences change, our desires change. So two things. One is I hired a virtual assistant to do some of the things I don't like. Actually, an in-house assistant. I do have one. Just very part-time to do my accounting, my QuickBooks.
Yeah,
it's always up to date now, because it used to be this thing looming on my head that I'd have to get to every couple of months, and I'm like, this is ridiculous. Just hire somebody to do it. And the other thing is I put some systems in place as simple as a calendar. When people say, when can we go to lunch, when can we meet, when can I schedule an appointment, I started using Schedule Once. There's all kinds of VCita out there, and Calendly, and book.me or something. I don't even know.
I use Appointee.
Appointee. That has made my life so much easier than going back and forth in email, missing email, phone calls, returning phone calls to set up times. So two things that I took right off my plate easier. There's more to do. I know there's other things I do. If I really thought about it, I could probably list out more, but I think those were the big ones, the big rocks.
And I love both of those. As you know, I'm big fans of both of those. But getting that calendaring tool was life-changing, wasn't it? It's like the opposite of optimization to me is chasing people down for appointments. And I'd be like, oh my God, this is so painful. And
I need an email optimization tool.
Okay. I feel a new project coming on, right?
It might be a new virtual assistant to weed through, and I don't know.
Yeah.
When I get really clear on that, I'll set that intention.
Well, you bring that up, and it's interesting. I have several email, portals, if you will, places that people can come in. But my main emails, that was actually the very first thing I delegated, is I do not do any of the main email. The only email I do is the ones where my clients and my close inner circle come directly to me. But everything else, I optimized that right away. I got that off my plate, and I created systems and templates of how I wanted things handled, but I haven't touched that in 10 years.
That's great.
Yeah.
I have Gmail doing some of that for me, because
Yes.
I only see the ones that are not bulk emails.
Right.
And then people are like, did you get my thing? I'm like,
oh, crap. It's in one
nobody
of those
else
other
is
folders.
managing the other, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's actually a real big problem for marketing, but that's another call.
Yes.
So, Laura, I'm sure like everybody, you have days that are awesome and amazing, and then there's the days where you're like, do I really want to do this life? And I think those are the days we need to have something that reminds us, how to stay inspired, like mantras we tell ourselves to get back in the groove. Do you have something like that that you could share with others that might become their resource to stay in the groove?
The phrase that comes to mind that I think I lean on the most is trust the process. Trust the process. Everything that happens is valuable, and it's up to us to powerfully engage with the circumstances of our lives. And it's just an opportunity to have that better life. If there's a challenge that comes up or a feeling that it's not going the way you want, it's like, okay, well, what do I want? And okay, so what are the questions I need to ask to help me see the path, or to take the next step, and then trust the process. If the questions aren't coming, it's okay, because for me, I need to stay in this place. For right now, there's something valuable and rich that I need to go through right now in this place until, and my nature is always to want to get to the next place. So, but I'm trusting the process. I'll trust the right questions are coming to me. Okay, right questions are not here right now. Okay, that means I got to go do something else. Take care of myself. My dad always used to say, here's another phrase, when things weren't going wrong and I call him up, especially when I was in college and I was like a time zone away and in a foreign kind of atmosphere to the culture I grew up in, I'd say, I'm having a bad day, this person, that person, whatever, I can't do this. And he'd say, Laura, work on the garden. You can't control what's going on out there, but you can work on yourself.
I love that. Work on the garden. So true,
Tend to yourself, nurture yourself, take good care of yourself is what he was saying. And that's invaluable.
That. Totally invaluable. And that's actually saved my life many times. When it's like the frenzy out here, it's like, just focus on making myself stronger, better, calmer, just get me okay. And you can pretty much handle anything going on out there when you're okay. Yeah, and strong, because I think we have to be strong in this line of work. We're going to have stuff hit us that you can't plan for and might not be pleasant. And I love that advice. That's so great. Thank you. Yeah. So, Laura, of course, I want to share Social Buzz Club with everybody, and we're going to put the URL up here and on the show page for people to go there and check it out. And I hope you'll sign up for it, because it has been an extraordinary resource for me and many of the clients that I've put on there. But is there any other place you want to share with people to come find you and learn more about the work you're doing?
Sure. My blog and a website is transformtoday.com, because I'm all about people transforming their life, their business, and their relationships.
Nice. Transformtoday.com. I had no idea you were, in that space. So this is so cool to dig a little bit deeper with Laura and find out what you're up to. Thanks so much for coming on. You've just shared some really rich insights and some wisdom and great tool to bring to everybody. And as you, our listener, as you're listening in today, you know what? I want to hear, what was an aha, or what's something you're going to put into action? Ideas are great. They'll spark your inspiration, but it's implementing them and getting into action that makes the big difference. So share something that you're going to get up to with what you heard today. And I know both Laura and I would love to hear what landed for you. And if you're listening on iTunes or Stitcher Radio, welcome. You can come on over to melaniebensonstrick.com and find our show page on the blog. Laura, thanks again for being here today. I know you've got a very full plate, so squeezing in this time together, I'm always honored that you'll come share your gifts with us. So thank you, and thanks, everybody. We'll see you again next week.
My pleasure.